Okay, so welcome back in the new week to our course about how to implement, how to design, how to run international projects. Today is our last course day, except that we have the wrapping up tomorrow morning. Today we will talk about monitoring and evaluation, as you know. And I'm happy that you're back here with us. So I would like to ask if you can again write your name and your organization in the chat that we know who's here. That's nice. Thank you. Um, so as you have heard many things until now, um, it comes to a point where we talk about something which is often seen as something you have to do, but you don't want to, or something you, even don't do because you think it's not necessary or you don't have the resources for that. And that's evaluation. Project evaluation, often forgotten, often not taken into account very much. And I can admit, yes, if you do not do the evaluation well, let's say, it is not worth it to do it. It just takes resources and you don't have anything out from it. But evaluation can also be made like that you can have benefits, like that it is worth it to do for your project. And for sure you have to do it if we talk about funding programs where you need to do it because it's a necessity. So what I would like to try to tell you now is why it is good to do evaluation and how it can be done. In the second part in this morning, Marianne will tell you about the monitoring. So we will make a difference between evaluation and monitoring. At some points I will also come to the monitoring, but I leave it then to the second part. And we will do a work assignment for today afternoon together as in one. So this is one assignment you will get, and hopefully, it will help you what you will hear now. So I start the presentation, but not this one. Okay. So, can you see the presentation? Is it fine? Yeah, it seems so. Okay, great. So, I will start with an introduction. What is evaluation in general and why to do it in international projects? Then we come to the part how to implement a project evaluation in international contexts. And finally, there's a third part we'll talk about in this first session about synergies with other projects. It's not directly connected with evaluation, but we thought it is an important part to talk about. As you know, we had this baseline research studies at the beginning of our international project, and there it was told us from the stakeholders and the people, the respondents of our survey, that it's always difficult to see the synergies of this international project you're doing and other projects you're doing with your organization or with your team. So I think it's worth it to have some thoughts on that to make this international project you're doing worthy, also valuable also for other projects. And indeed, it is connected to evaluation, as we will see later. So, the introduction. Here, I took a definition out of Wikipedia because it's just one sentence which we can talk about, which is probably helpful to think about. It says, evaluation is a systematic determination of a subject's merit, worth, and significance using criteria governed by a set of standards. So what does that mean? Evaluation tries to find out something about something else. So a project, a program, or an organization, as you see it. So let's talk about a project now, because that's what we will tackle. It is doing that by assessing the value the project has. So it's about assessing the value of something. And this value of the project can be separated mainly in two parts. One part is, does the project reach the objectives? An evaluation tries to find out if that happened. And with that, there's connected the impact the project has, the impact it wants to create, and so on. So that sounds simple and logical. But there's a second point an evaluation can do and can tackle, and this is the value of the project process. And here is already the connection to the monitoring later, as you will see. But also, for sure, an evaluation can assess the process of a project. Is the project happening in an environment which thinks about the own policies, the own strategies you want to fulfill or you want to follow with your project. So it's not directly connected to the project goals, but how you do it. Because in your organization you have certain rules how you want to implement projects and so on. And the evaluation is also a tool to find out if that happened in this way. So you have ideals, you have a mission statement, and connected to that you have certain policies, you can say. So, and often this part is forgotten if you talk about evaluation. There are three types of evaluation. One type is the prospective, the anticipatory evaluation. That means you can do an evaluation beforehand, before you start the project. That is, often not thought about. This includes, for example, needs analysis. You evaluate the context in which you want to do the project. You find out about the needs of the stakeholders, and so on. You make a pre-impact assessment that you try to find out with stakeholders what impacts could my project have and should it have, and so on. So this is something which very much supports the planning and the design phase of a project. Another type is the formative evaluation. Formative means it is accompanying the whole project process, or at least a part of it. So that means there are regular measurements in the process where you collect data, where you will have interim results, and so on. The positive part, the advantage of a formative evaluation is that it offers the possibility to obtain impressions from those who are in the project without any retrospective bias. So this is the difference to the third type, the summative evaluation, which happens at the end of a project or even after the project has ended. And there you sometimes have the problem that, the challenge that you cannot be sure that what people tell you is really what happened because they forgot something or they afterwards changed their memory somehow, like, that happens. You see what you want to see. So the formative evaluation has an advantage in this part, but also another advantage, that it gives the possibility for changings in the project process, so that you can adapt the process already when it's happening. So it's not only assessing, oh, that's good or bad, but also giving feedback on how something happens, and perhaps even if there are possibilities, options to develop to make it better in the process. And as I said already, the summative evaluation takes place after or at the very end of a project, and is mainly focusing on the question, what was the effect, were the goals achieved, and so on, because that is something you cannot yet really answer with formative evaluation. If the project has not ended yet, you cannot tell, oh, we didn't or we did reach our goals. That is happening with the summative evaluation. It is, easy to say. You cannot only do one of these parts. I mean, you can for sure, but it's worthy to do a mixture of these types. So in the best case, you do all three types of evaluation for you while you're in your project. As we talk about it later, that will need resources for sure. We can think about it, how that's possible. What I just wanted to mention here is that these evaluations can for sure happen internally or externally. That means it can happen as a self-evaluation. You can do it yourself, or other partners in your international cooperation partnership can do it. Then it would be a self-evaluation, an internal evaluation. And it can happen for sure also externally, so done by an external stakeholder, another partner only for that, who is not involved in other project parts. So, and this is already something to say that for sure it's worthy to think about. Can you do it yourself, or would you need somebody else to do it? Because if you do it yourself, you need a certain expertise also. You need the methodological knowledge to do it, and so on. Sometimes it's not there. If you're in a bigger partnership with partners from other countries, perhaps one has this expertise, so perhaps they can do it, or they can at least lead this evaluation. But perhaps it's really not there, then you could think about including somebody else, which costs money then, probably, because nobody is doing that just for fun if they're not participating in another part of the project. But what is already clear, you need resources for that, and that's often the difficult part. And depending on the funding program, it's not always funded, you can say. For example, in the Erasmus Plus, in the strategic partnerships, also, in the so as well as for the innovative or for the practice the good practice projects, it is not that you can put some working days for evaluation. You have to do it within your budget for the management. So, as you know already, you will get a certain amount per month for your management activities, and in that has to be included the resources for the evaluation, which is, yeah, not much to say. Yeah, that's a challenge for sure, but let's see why it's still worth it to do it. To go on with the definition and the different kinds of aspects in evaluation, I want to add the principles. They are defined by the Evaluation Society. You can have a look there. They say we have, if we do evaluations, we have to take care of the usefulness. So we have to make clear that an evaluation has to be useful. What does it mean? It means that an evaluation is based on the clarified evaluation purposes. So you have to define certain purposes, goals with the evaluation, and it is based on the needs of the intended users. So an evaluation has always to think about who will need or who will use these results. That's crucial. You do not do some research here, which is then, I don't know, lost in some library. No, this is very connected to the practice, to the project. So you always have to think about, is it useful later on? The second principle is about feasibility. So that means the evaluation should be realistic, well thought out, diplomatic, and cost conscious. Diplomatic, for example, means that an evaluator should never be pro one side, you can say. Always try to mediate also, to see all perspectives in a project. It is about fairness. So that means that it always has to be a respectful interaction with all parties involved. And the fourth principle is accuracy. So that means that the evaluation shall produce and communicate valid information and results on the evaluation object and the evaluation questions. So this is not easy because, especially if you do a formative evaluation, the project is changing in the process and so on. But still, you have always to think about, what are my real questions? You will collect data, you will have much data perhaps, and then you figure something out of it. But always keep in mind, what were my questions at the beginning? For sure, these questions can be adapted in the process. If you see, like we had it now in the COVID-19 pandemic, so you planned an activity, physical activity, you can't do it anymore. You do it online now. For sure, the evaluation have to be adapted then, because probably there will be other questions you will raise. For example, if you do then the evaluation of this online meeting or so. So evaluation has to be flexible, but still always keep in mind why you're doing it, which questions you want to answer. So that's some introduction to what evaluation is. But again, I want to stress out why do we need it? What are my benefits if I do it? For sure, it's about I get knowledge about, did I meet my aims? Did I reach my goals? I want to know that. And I can get to know that by doing an evaluation. But also, I can find out about unintended effects. So, was there anything which I did not expect at the beginning? Could be interesting. There could be something positive or something negative. It's not to be defined. So unintended effects can be everything. But I have to keep in mind that that can happen. It's not always that I can foresee everything and always raise the right questions at the very beginning. It still can happen, something new. And with an evaluation, I should, and I have the possibility to find out. And quite connected to that is that I can learn from my experience then. So, because an evaluation should not stop at the point, did I reach my goal or not? It should go on and should say also, why did I reach it? Or why didn't I reach it? And then I can learn something out of it for future projects, for my organization in general. And for sure, I can also use this knowledge then to support the decision-making processes in the project already, if I'm doing accompanying evaluation, as I explained, but also later on. So if I want to decide about, shall we go on with this topic in our work with other projects and so on? Was it worthy to do it? So it can support decision-making processes. Another part is developing the project in the process, and that I already explained also at the beginning. That can happen if you do a formative evaluation. And my next point is often forgotten, but if you do a dialogue-oriented evaluation, so if you include stakeholders, not only the partnership and the international cooperation, but also other stakeholders, other participants, and so on, you can involve them by doing the evaluation, and you can sensitize them for your project. And this is really worthy or can be really worthy for your project. So when you decide about who do I want to include in the evaluation process, who do I want to question, who do I want to include in a focus group or something, think strategically. Who could that be? Could that person even help with my project otherwise? Could that be new partners or new networks, new funders, whatever? So evaluation is a really good tool to get into contact with stakeholders you would not get into contact in your project normally, but could be very interesting. And here we really see a new benefit. But that can only happen for sure if the methods you use for your evaluation are participatory, dialogue-oriented, and so on. And the last point, for sure, we know that we need evaluation for legitimization, especially if you are funded. The funders want to know, how did it work? Did you reach your goals? And so on. So that is for sure also an important point why an evaluation can be done, to prove what you've achieved. The challenge here is that if this is the main goal and the main thought behind your evaluation, then it can happen that the evaluation, especially if it's a self-evaluation, is not done in a very honest way, because you have to prove that you achieved something. But I hope that I could make clear that an evaluation can have many other benefits. That's why it's important to do it along the principles I told you, so in a quite honest way, so that you can really benefit from it for your future projects, for your organization, and and so on. So, how's it done? How do we do that? We have some steps, and this is already something you can keep in mind for the work assignment. So first, for sure, we have to determine our goals. So what do we reach? What do we want to reach with our evaluation? So, for example, do we want to know about the impacts the project had, or do we want to know about how the process with the partners in the partnership was going? How was the work together? And this is an important question, especially in international partnerships. And here you can really learn much for future projects and how to do the communication, how to do the cooperation structure, and so on. When you have decided about what do you want to know, then you decide about your questions. So, yeah, and that can be quite concrete then. When you have your questions, you have to think about the indicators. You have to find or adapt the indicators. Adapt, why? Because if you remember our session at Wednesday, the project design, in this design phase, you also think about indicators normally. So these indicators for sure can be the indicators for your evaluation questions. So that has to be connected. And it's good because you don't have to do it twice and think about new indicators. No, you have them already. You can just check if you would need another one, because the project design normally tackles more the effects you want to have, but not so much indicators for your partnership process or structure. So probably you have to give some more indicators here, because you have also some questions which are not yet there in the design phase. But still, also in the design phase, I mean, an international project is not only about the topic and the content you will do, but it's always also about this working in the international context with the other partners. This is an important goal itself. So that's why keep it in mind for the evaluation also. Then we decide about useful methods. I will tell something more to these points then. And finally, we can concretize our evaluation plan. So where we know about what is happening when and so on, and what resources do we need for that. The evaluation goals, part 1, step 1. So these are the 3 questions you should mainly raise. So why do we do the evaluation? Think about the benefits I told you. Here you should know, okay, we do it because we want to learn, because we want to involve other stakeholders, but also because we have to legitimize what we're doing. So be clear about what is the evaluation for and why do you do that. Then what are the important parts to evaluate? I just told you, it's not only about impact assessment. And which level of the project should be included? You can say, okay, we have some activities we cannot involve in the evaluation, or we don't want to, or whatever. So for sure, if you want to a holistic evaluation, you have to include all parts, but again, that takes much resources. So it could be useful to think about, okay, but we want to be more precise. We want to tackle this part of our project or that part. And here we can get data and we can get results at the end. But at the other parts, it's too resource intense. We cannot we cannot do that because we don't have the money or we don't have the expertise, and so be pragmatic also, sure. Yeah. When it comes to the evaluation questions, I would like to remind you of our model we had on Wednesday. So you can use this model also for your questions, that you find questions along these 5 or 4 levels. The activity level is a level which is very much connected to the output level. And if you evaluate, it's about the outputs of the activities you evaluate. Yeah, you evaluate the activities, yes, but mainly the outputs they have. So we talk about the IOOI evaluation. But for sure, you can also find other logics, how you want to structure your evaluation. Option A is, for example, that you think about, okay, I have a structure, I have a project structure, I have a project process, and then I have an impact of my project. So, and for these parts, I find my questions. I find, the questions I want to answer. And for sure, there are other possibilities how you can structure your evaluation questions. But it's good to have a structure, because if you just start, okay, what do we want to know, this or that's probably then you will miss something. Yeah. And also here you can really think about, okay, can we even get to know about the impact if we think about the whole society we want to change or something? How can we evaluate that? It's often not easy, so it could be worthy to focus more on the outcomes and the outputs, for example. If we do evaluations and we do impact evaluations, we have to go via the output and the outcome. And if the outcome is not reached, we can very much tell that probably the impact is also not happening. Yeah? So, but if we know, okay, we reached our outcomes, they were there, what we wanted to have, then it's quite plausible that we can contribute to our impact goals. That's the way how you can tackle this impact question. When you have the questions, you have to think about indicators, as I said. Just a short review. What is an indicator? We told you on Wednesday. It's a measurable variable, and they can be quantitative and they can be qualitative. I think you've heard about it. I don't need to tell you again, but it's just as a suggestion, do not stop at quantitative indicators. Do think about qualitative aspects. That is always a bit more, or can be a bit more challenging. You have to put some more thoughts in that, but it's worthy, because it's not only about how many participants were there, how many activities have we done. No, it's also about what did I learn in the training, what could our activities contribute to in a content-wise context. So keep in mind that we also have the qualitative part. We had this example, number of new cooperation projects could be an indicator for the output level, a quantitative indicator. A qualitative indicator for our output here could be that the project managers know about EU funding programs and how to apply after they've done the training. We had this example. Okay, we come to the methods. The methods are quite diverse, which is also often not seen. So you probably know, okay, we have a training here or something there. We do a satisfaction questionnaire and that's it. But there are more possibilities how to collect data. You can have a document analysis. That means you analyze all kind of documents which are produced in the project, reports you have, protocols, and so on. Often they are produced in the monitoring process. For example, you have monitoring forms of your partners they've done. Include that also in the evaluation. Then for sure, budget analysis is a possible method, very much connected to the budget management. You have some quantitative indicators here, perhaps. Yeah. So also that is very much connected to monitoring, but you can make use of these data, of this data you have. For sure, then there are other more dialogue-oriented methods like interviews or focus group discussions. Interviews are done normally with one or two persons, and are good to find out about personal perspectives, also to come into an honest and trustful setting. You can really talk also about deeper parts of the project. Could be useful to do that also with your partners at some steps or at the end of the project to find out about how they've seen it. But for sure, also, as I said, external stakeholders can be included here. Depends on what you want to know. So you don't have to do all these methods and use all these methods. It's always the question, how can I get the information I want to get to answer my evaluation questions? And probably you won't need all these methods for that. Observations can happen, so that especially if you're in an external setting, that you see the activities, so that the evaluators have a look what is happening there, and along some questions defined, you observe the activity and the participants. And for sure, there are also questionnaire surveys. You can do them online. That's nowadays probably mostly the better idea, but not always. So this is probably better to get also some quantitative data, depending on how you design your questionnaire. But, and I have to say also here, after training, you do not only have the possibility to a focus group at the end, oral evaluation, or then a questionnaire given to the participants. There are other more innovative methods, you can say. So the questions you have in your questionnaire, you can also raise in a way that people have to put some beans in a cup, for example, and if you put it in this cup, you are giving this answer, and if you put it in another cup, you're giving another answer. So then you have some movement in the process. People can immediately see the result and so on. So there are also digital solutions for that you can immediately see the results of some questionnaire surveys. Or you have a flip chart where you have the questions and people can put their thoughts for the different questions, and then you later come together and talk about the different thoughts there. So it really can be more participatory than just giving a questionnaire. And these discussions, which are then produced by these other methods, you can say, they are often worthy because you will get new ideas, new perspectives, which you would not get perhaps if just doing a questionnaire. So, and now we come to the second part, the evaluation plan. Or let's say this is the last step of the design of the evaluation, or the first step of the plan, whatever. Yeah, so, but it's a very important link. We normally do. It's some work, and if it's a small evaluation, perhaps you don't need it, but it's not bad to bring all the steps we had before into one table. You write down all your evaluation questions along the different levels, like here my questions for the input, here my questions for the output. So then you say, okay, for these questions, I have these key indicators. These are my key indicators, which, yeah, then show me or lead me to the answer. I can get information on these indicators by implementing these collection methods, data collection methods. And for that, I need this and that data source. So in this example, the question would be, to what extent does the project contribute to a sustainable cooperation of the project partners? It's not easy to answer. My indicator for that could be, there are ideas for follow-up cooperation projects. There is a good quality of partner communication activities, etc. So if this is the fact, then yeah, it probably can contribute to a sustainable cooperation of future projects. How can I find out about it? I can do interviews with my partners. I can do focus groups, so where they sit together and talk about it. I can also do a questionnaire and ask them in there about their thoughts on it. And when I have done this kind of methods, I will have some data like the interview notes I have, or the questionnaire data. So this last column, perhaps you don't need it. It's quite clear when you have this method that you will have this data then. So just for you to know that then probably you have some written text or notes or something you have to analyze then. So the data source is your material for the analysis. Okay. When you have that, you have to decide upon who does what, when, and with which resources. Evaluation has to be done then. For example, in an Erasmus Plus project, when the partnership wants to do the evaluation on their own, then you have to decide, okay, who can do that? Which partner perhaps has the expertise to lead this evaluation? How do we refund that work then? Is it split among the partners? Perhaps this one partner is doing it for free, but I mean, that you have to figure out. Depending on the design also, if the partners all have to do something for the evaluation, okay, probably you don't have special resources, you just split the work. If one partner is mainly doing the work, then perhaps you have to give a certain part of the management budget to this partner to do it. So and for sure, the question is when to do this evaluation. And for sure, it needs to be oriented along the project design. You have certain activities, and you have to evaluate also these activities. So the evaluation plan is very much connected to your project plan. And you can do an own Gantt for your evaluation, or you just connect it to your project plan or your project Gantt. But you have to think about it. So that's just I want to raise attention to. You have to think about when is happening what data collection method is used when. And yeah, to give a more practical insight into this evaluation plan implementation, then normally it starts with a kickoff. So if you have a project kickoff, you could also include here your evaluation kickoff for sure. So to clarify the aims of the evaluation and to communicate in the partnership what are my steps for the evaluation, how do we do it, whatever. So normally at this point you already designed the evaluation and now communicate it to all who are perhaps not involved in the design. If there is an external evaluator for your project, then also this kickoff could be very important to have to clarify the aims again with them. Did they understand well what you want to know, and so on. Then you can go into the phase of the data collection with a possible mixed method approach, so interviews, questionnaires, whatever. Focus groups, for example, could be a good thing which do not use so much resources, but you can include more people at once. For interviews, you have to do this single approaches, which could take more resources than if you do a focus group with more people. A participative approach is here advisable, but not necessary. Then when you collect the data, it comes to the analysis. You have to bring your data together. This is called data triangulation. So you have notes of your interviews, of your focus groups. You have the questionnaires here and there. So now you have to bring it together, and therefore you need your matrix again, because you have the questions, and each data bit can contribute to another question or to more questions. So you have then try to answer the questions out of the data you have and interpret your analysis. And this interpretation is done best together in the partnership, not only the evaluator, but also the partners can say, okay, yeah, that happened, and that answers these questions in that way, because there's always possibility to interpret it in a different way. And then it comes to reporting. Depends on what you designed. If you really want a big report, or just some graphs, or some options for future for future activities, or how you want to go on with it. If you have different steps of evaluations in a formative process along the project, then perhaps you have a midterm reporting, and then you go back again, you make new data collections, new analysis, and another reporting. So that can be a circle here. Depending on how long your project is, it has to be feasible for sure. If you have a 1-year project, you can do one midterm result. It's good if you do that, then you can perhaps in the second half year adapt your project according to your evaluation results or so. But it depends again on the resources, and sometimes they're not there. Then this feedback process has to be a bit more, let's say, informal, but still it can happen. Okay, so we come to this third part, which I will do very shortly, as we are running out of time, but it's just to bring up some thoughts. Synergy, just to know for you, here I have a definition. Synergy means that different parts coming together, and by doing so, something new is created, which was not expected to have beforehand. So that's a synergy. And for sure, this is a challenge for international projects because you always have to adapt your ideas a bit if you work in an international partnership. The other partners have other understandings and so on. You have to find common points and so on. So that will be a bit far away from your normal work as usual, possibly. So how to create links then to your other projects in a national context, for example. And especially how to create an added value for your organization or your team or even yourself. So this is the question. What are possible synergies in international projects? For sure, new knowledge which you would not gain if you cooperate in a national context, because there are other, as I said, understandings which can be challenging, but which can also be interesting, helpful to find new ideas, possibly for new projects, and or also for new partnerships. Your networks can be strengthened. And another possible synergy is that you can use funding programs which you could not in a national context. For sure, that is often a reason why people do international cooperation projects. But yes, you can also use these projects to implement national activities. In the Erasmus Plus, it's happening always. Yeah? You're doing national courses in the frame of this international cooperation. So also possible synergies. But the important question is, how can we create these synergies? And here are just some thoughts on that. And then we are finished anyhow. The objectives are connected to the general objectives of your organization. So the objectives of this international project should be somehow connected to your general objectives. That is important. If that's not the fact, then it becomes difficult to create synergies. And it's also good to have a thematic intersection. Normally that's the fact, but not always. That you have that the topic, the theme of your international project is somehow also what you do in a national context. And for sure, if you are doing national activities in your international project, you should try to make them fitting to your own expertise or interest. That sometimes really happens that in the plan somebody other did the application, and now you have to do an activity in a national context which you normally do not do. So that can be difficult, and still it can be worthy to do it if it fits your general expertise or interest. And for sure, you have to make clear that there's a transfer of the learning outcomes in your organization and team. So include perhaps other collaborators in the project reflection. When you have the evaluation results, and here is the link to the evaluation and the monitoring also, then discuss that not only with the project team, but perhaps with others, so that they can also learn, others in your organization, that it has a value for the whole organization, not only in a smaller circle. And very important, synergies are only valuable if you are open for change processes. That's all what this is about. You do international cooperation also because you want to learn something new, because you want to experience something new, to find new partners and so on. But that needs an openness, and that what you learn is then brought back into your other work for a change, to make a change. And for that, and to learn about it, it's really good to have evaluation and monitoring. And yeah, here we are at the end of this first session. Now it would be time to write some questions. If you have some, I will open the question mode. So again, if you have a question, click this question mark and write your question in the chat, if you have any. Okay. I'll just give you, okay, I think there's coming something. Okay, we have a question. Okay, the question is if there are any programs, applications which can help during the evaluation process and the monitoring. Or just a Gantt chart, if that is enough. As I said, it could be good also to have this evaluation matrix. Yeah, that could be also done in a table in an Excel, for example, where you have the questions, then the indicators, then the methods, so on. That for the planning could be really useful to do something like that. And if you have such a matrix, it's really a really good tool then for your whole evaluation process. Yeah, it can be adapted. Questions can be, there can be new questions added in the process if you think that is good to know or it's important. But this is really a good start to do. So if you do a bit more challenging, a bit more, perhaps a bigger evaluation, this is really good to have as a tool. The Gantt chart is then more for the planning, the time scheduling, that you say, okay, we have this collection method here and this there, and then we have the analysis and the reporting here and there. Yeah, also good to have. Yeah. And for sure, for the analysis, you also can use programs, applications, but I would really suggest if you have an evaluation in a Erasmus Plus project or even in a Creative Europe project or something like that, there are not so much resources for evaluation. So I would not suggest to go into scientific part then and doing really the analysis with special analytical programs. That's probably too much. But for sure, in a more elaborated evaluation, like we do it also for other projects and programs, there we use special applications for qualitative analysis, for statistical analysis. But yeah, as I said, that's depending on really your project resources for evaluation. In this case, normally you have some interviews, perhaps some focus group notes, and out of that you can easily answer the questions. You don't need a special social scientific approach. And for the monitoring, for sure there are also some helpful programs, but this part, will be told you later from 11 o'clock on. Okay, so no more questions at this point. I mean, you can still ask questions later if you want. So I go on with the short presentation of our assignment for you for the afternoon. You know the procedure. At 3 o'clock, you will be invited to come to the Zoom and to work individually or in groups. Here, yeah, we just thought it could be good to think about evaluation and monitoring plan. So that would be an assignment for the evaluation as well as the monitoring part. So we have one common assignment for the afternoon, which is still a challenging one, I would say, to make a plan. That means, I mean, I will send you the exercise as a PDF in the chat. I hope that works here. No. Okay, I will see. But for doing that, for sure, you need a scenario again. And I would suggest that you just, option A, you work on your own project scenario and do an evaluation plan for that. Or you can use the scenario we have proposed you already on Wednesday for the design, because there you already defined indicators. And perhaps you worked on Wednesday, you worked on your own project, so you can use these indicators already in the evaluation plan, and you do not have to think about new ones. So that's a good pre-work for that. But think about also which questions could be raised, what methods could be useful to for your data collection, and perhaps you can think about who in a partnership could do it, but that depends very much if you have your own project idea and know about that. And when is happening each step of the evaluation. So this is mainly what we would like to ask you. More detailed information will be in the assignment document, which I will send you. Okay, so probably I will try in the break to just send you the document here in the chat, but we will also then give it to you at 3 o'clock. So if there are no more questions, I would like to thank you for listening for this session about evaluation in international projects, and then see you at 3 o'clock. Here at 11, it goes on with monitoring. So stay here for the next part, and then see you at 3. Goodbye.